in inhumane conditions. He was arrested in a gang conspiracy.
This would be the typical cell for this area. It doesn't have the mattress that would be in there because it's not currently occupied by...
But this is a jail. It is a detention center. It's not the Ritz-Carlton.
A whole lot of people are up in arms about the way Thugger's being treated in jail. And it only makes sense. I mean, the dude's not living how he used to. That being said, it might be the case that he and his lawyer are trying to do their best to make it look like the conditions are awful. In reality, it turns out that young Thug is actually being held in, wait for it, a jail cell. That's not the whole story. There's more at play here. I mean, the American prison system as a whole is kind of terrible. Maybe this is a good time to have a larger discussion. In case you've been living under a rock and don't know what's been going on, Young Thug had the whole book thrown at him. Apparently, the Fed's been looking into YSL for a long time, at least upwards of 6 months. They had plenty of info by the time they finally went in to go pick Thug up. Time to prepare an 88-page indictment with over 56 charges between the whole YSL crew. To make matters much worse, they left pretty much no major member of YSL untouched and got pretty much everyone. Thug, Gunna, Yak Gotti. But there are two major players everyone was pretty confused about. That was Lil Got and Lil Key. Unfortunately, Lil Key passed away at the age of 24 right after the big indictment came out. It was pretty much entirely out of the blue, and the whole rap game was shook by the news. For a while, no one knew exactly what had happened to Key, and over time it came out that he had been experiencing severe stomach pains for about a week before his passing. Key had been struggling with drinking the purple stuff, and apparently it ended up getting him, even though he had recently gotten clean. Although Young Thug and Gunna didn't get to make public statements, their condolences were given to Lil Gotti. He said, "Talked to Young Thug yesterday. Key, you f***ed him up with this one, but we know you guarding him through these times and make sure he gonna be alright. We the proud family. Can't nothing stop us." Gunna also showed some love. Gotti said, "Talked to Gunna. He good. Just sad what's going on with Twin, but everything gonna be in our favor." The issue really is, though, is that things probably aren't going to be in their favor, no matter how much the internet wants to think otherwise. Luckily for Gunna, it seems like he has the trial set up in June, provided it doesn't get pushed back. Out of more or less everyone on the roster, and especially in comparison to Thug, Gunna has a better chance of getting off than anyone. He doesn't have any additional charges, just the RICO stuff. It still carries a pretty hefty sentence, but we said better, not great. Thug, on the other hand, is not walking out of this one. The best we can hope for is that we live in a weird timeline where President Joe Biden pardons him on the charges. I mean, Trump did that for Kodak. We can dream, right? It's a long shot, but it could always still happen. Anyway, Thug's got charges. Not only is he being held on the RICO stuff, but he also got nabbed in a slew of other felonies. Aside from that, they somehow managed to wiretap the phones he was using to correspond with a few of his YSL homies in prison. Text messages there really don't paint a great picture for Thug's defense. After they finally brought Thug in on the RICO charges, they decided that it was the perfect time to get a warrant and raid Thug's house. See, in the past, police raided his house and found a whole bunch of stuff, but the case got thrown out because they didn't have the proper documentation to go after him like that in the first place. This time, they had all their ducks in a row before they went for him. Those cops must have been very excited about what they found. When they finally got to Thug's house, they hit the jackpot. They found a bunch of substances that were packaged up for distribution and a whole Call of Duty creative class loadout. I mean, the dude had lasers, silencers, sawed-offs, everything. Thug couldn't have had worse stuff at his crib, to be honest. These, mixed with the RICO charges, would probably be enough to put the guy away if that's what they want to do. To make things worse, the police also managed to wiretap a phone that one of the inmates had in jail. It's still not clear exactly which phone was tapped, but it really doesn't matter. This brings us to something that happened to a little someone named YFN Lucci. If you've been following his story, you already know a little bit about him. Back in February, YFN Lucci was attacked with a sharp object in prison. He ended up there after getting caught on RICO charges. There are theories that he's part of the reason why they were able to nab YSL. Some people think he snitched as retaliation. That remains to be seen, though. He sustained an injury to his head, and it's thought that there was a bounty on his head. Now, we know there was a bounty out. Thanks to a wiretap on one of the YSL cell phones, it became clear that two people tried to get permission from Young Thug himself to take YFN Lucci out while he was in jail. Michael Seaton, a reporter who deals with these kinds of cases around Atlanta, reported on this. Essentially, these are text messages between YSL affiliates making a plan to fly cell phones over the prison walls on drones. It's unclear as to whether it happened or not, but the phones were compromised either way. We can see in the indictment that Thug and two of his associates were texting about taking another prisoner at Fulton County out of the picture. That inmate is suspected to be no one other than YFN Lucci. Now, for the longest time, a big part of the defense for Young Thug and the rest of YSL was going to be that YSL RIZZLE wasn't a criminal organization. But how can that be when there's a record of the dude organizing such activity? If there was any chance of getting Young Thug out on bail, this was pretty much the final nail in the coffin. Recently, Young Thug's attorney filed for an emergency order claiming that Young Thug's accommodations in prison was dungeon-like. In fact, let's go ahead and look at some of the language used in the first document. First of all, the document tries to claim that Thug isn't just exercising his creativity and artistic freedom in his music, and it should in no way be used as evidence. The thing is, though, it's not illegal to search up how to hide a body on the internet. You can just do that. Now, if you're being investigated for something like that and you have that searched up, you're gonna have issues. You see where I'm going with this? If Young Thug raps about street life and commandeering a gang, that's fine. He can do that. But when the feds start finding evidence of the gang activity and literal audio and text of him encouraging a hit, things get dicey. These are the main complaints about how Thug is being held. In the document, his attorney says he's being held in the following conditions. 1. Solitary confinement, total isolation, entirely outside of view of other human beings. 2. Windowless cement compartment with only a bed and a toilet and an overhead light which remains on 24 hours a day, preventing any sleep, rest, or meditation. 3. No access to any type of media, radio, internet, television, or the like. 4. The locked metal door contains a small rectangular slat that is open only to insert a tray of inedible food, and once that tray is accepted, this slat is slammed shut. And 5. No opportunity to exercise, shower, or have human contact interaction, save his counsel, day after day. I'm not going to sit here and say that any of this is okay, but I will say that none of these things sound at all unordinary for someone being held for trial. The whole thing is that his lawyer is still maintaining that Thug is completely innocent and shouldn't be held like this. That's just what happens when you're waiting trial, though. There's no reason lawfully that Thug should be treated any differently. Another thing is the solitary confinement. Yeah, that's awful, but also, what does his lawyer want? Does he want Thug moved over to General Pop? That's a terrible idea. YFN Lucci's out there, and he no doubt has homies. If Thug were getting Gen Pop, especially with how popular he is and how many enemies he's made, it would be a literal risk to his life. Thug's attorney also claims that he wouldn't be a flight risk. There's no way he would try and bribe or intimidate witnesses, etc. The issue is there's nothing stopping him from doing the race. There's no reason he couldn't go and intimidate witnesses. I'm not saying that the conditions Thug is being held in are okay. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. There are plenty of innocent and wrongful convicted people in prisons at all times, everywhere. In fact, the only way we care about prison conditions when it's someone like Young Thug who's locked up is terrible. I'm just gonna call it how it is for real. Prison in this country isn't meant to rehabilitate people. It's not meant to make prisoners better human beings. It's here to punish them, and it's that way on purpose. That's the real tragedy here. Also, Gunna tried to get bail recently and also failed to do so. If I thought anybody in this case was about to get out on bail, it was Gunna. But I guess that's not the way it's about to go down. I mean, the DA specifically said that they were gonna try to push for maximum sentencing on everything here, and I guess that's exactly what they're doing. Gunna's attorney spoke on the decision saying, "The court made it clear at the hearing that it was concerned about threats and intimidation of witnesses. We believe when the court hears evidence, not just the words of the prosecutor, to find that Sergio's release on bond will not, directly or indirectly, pose a significant risk to the witness. We look forward to having a further hearing on this as soon as the court permits." Unfortunately for Gunna, there's no telling when that could happen. The court also alleges that Gunna served in a command role at YSL, similar to how they believe Thug was functioning. People on Twitter were not happy about the verdict for Gunna. Not only is he not getting bail, he also had his trial date set for 2023. That means it's going to be about 7 months before Gunna's out of legal limbo. Someone pointed out how crazy that is in comparison to someone like Thug. They said, yeah, he only has one count against him, and it's true, but still. If they thought that he was in a command role, him being out on bail would be a huge deal. Another fan thought it was wild that they were waiting so long to actually try him, saying, whatever happened to having a right to speedy trial? Wouldn't it be a violation of civil rights? Why didn't the lawyer ask for a speedy trial? I don't know if you can be convicted of lyrics in your music. Crazy that you can charged. But what do y'all think about this though? Should Thug be receiving some kind of special treatment, or should we focus on reforming the prison system in general? Is there any way Thug and Gunna are getting off on any of this? As always, don't forget to keep it RIZZLE, and make sure you go peep this video next if you like this story.